Well, hello. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Aisha Barnes. I'm the Senior Manager for Alumni Relations here at Chamberlain University, and I'd like to welcome you to our Commit to Care webinar series. We've started this series to have our Chamberlain students and alumni share what it's like to really step forward toward a rewarding career in nursing. We know nurses are needed now more than ever. And for those with a calling to serve, like all of you who've called into this webinar, there has never been a better time to pursue a career in healthcare. So the format of this event is informal. We'll just have some Q&A that we'll start with our panelists with, and then we'll, at the end, we'll have Q&A from the audience as well. We are in a webinar format, so you as the audience won't be seen on camera, but if you do have a question, make sure you put it in the Q&A, and we'll try to address as many questions as we have. But we are mostly around a 30-minute webinar. Tonight, or excuse me, this afternoon, we have two wonderful Chamberlain alumni and a wonderful Chamberlain student here to share with you. So I will have them introduce themselves. We'll start with our current Chamberlain student, Victoria Navarro. Victoria, tell us about yourself.
Hi, my name is Victoria Navarro. I'm currently at the Addison campus. I'm in my last session, capstone. I graduate in September, and I currently work at Gilbeatis Vein Clinic, a specialty in varicose veins.
Wonderful. Thank you and welcome, Victoria, and congrats on your upcoming graduation.
Thank you.
Wonderful. And now we have Brea Wilson.
Hello, everyone. My name is Brea Wilson. I am a Chamberlain alumni. I graduated in 2017 from the Atlanta campus. I'm also currently in the Family Nurse Practitioner program at Chamberlain. Just completed my first year there. I'm also a travel nurse, so I am an ICU travel nurse. I also have experience in cosmetic surgery as well as pediatric home health.
Wow, a lot of experience and congrats on completing that first year of your FNP program. That's wonderful. And last but not least, we have alumni Mustafa Fawaz.
Hi, I'm Mustafa. I graduated from Chamberlain in Troy, Michigan in 2019. Currently, I'm working for Beaumont in their observation unit.
Awesome. Well, welcome. And
Thank
we're so happy to have all of you. So let's jump right in. This, as I was talking with the panelists earlier, this is a highly desired topic, and we're going to talk about the HESI exam, and that's where all of our questions are centered around. So let me start with you, Victoria. What were some of the best resources and maybe websites that you can think of that you use to prepare for the HESI exam?
So when I currently took the HESI exam, I'm kind of old school, so I used the book version. I ordered it off Amazon. I did do some practice tests online. They were available if you Google HESI exams, like practice exams, they let you take some for free. I used those resources as well.
Awesome. And did you feel that they were sufficient for you in your study prep?
I did because I didn't know what to expect. And when I looked over the material, because the book outlined each category that you would be tested on. So when I referenced that and kind of went through the practice questions and seeing what I missed, I went back and refreshed. And when I took the actual HESI exam, I did way better than what I thought I would have.
Awesome. Great. How about you, Mustafa? Tell us about what resources and websites you use to prepare.
So specifically at the Troy campus, when I had gone to the admissions office and stuff, they actually suggested a specific book off of Amazon that I could get. It was really cheap. It was like 20 bucks. I wish I still had like the ISBN or something like that, but it was probably highly rated and still there. And that was all I used for my HESI, and I thought it was more than sufficient. It went over all the topics. It went over like common themes that would be in a HESI. For me, I just washed up on that for things that I thought I needed to work on.
Awesome, good. And I'm glad to hear that you felt like it was sufficient too, and that the
Yeah.
school kind of helped you identify a good resource.
No, like standardized tests, they're always frightening, right? As far as the HESI goes, I felt like I was comfortable taking it with a lot of the knowledge that I had gained prior to applying to school. And I felt like that book was more of a brush up than like, I need to learn this before going in.
Okay, good to hear. And it looks like we've had another student join us. Hi, welcome. Is that Yanet or Yana?
Janet.
Say that one more time.
Janet.
Yanet. Okay, Yanet, welcome. Do you mind just introducing yourself, what campus, or if you're online program, and then where you are in the program, and if you're employed. Oh, and another, Marlene, welcome. Hello. So Yanet, we'll let you go first, and then Marlene, you can introduce yourself next.
So my name is Janet McCabe. I'm also at the Addison campus as Victoria. I'm also on my last session, so I'm in capstone. So my graduation will also be in September. Resources that I've utilized, I've also included UWorld as a supplemental exposure to more class style questions as well. Aside from the HESI and the Sounders book as well.
Okay, awesome. And Marlene, just introduce yourself.
Hi everyone, my name is Marlene. I am also like Yeneth, I am a capstone, gonna graduate in September. And some of the resources that I've used are definitely the UWorld. Also another one is the Saunders book and the Mark, I can never say his last name, Klimek, that a friend has told me, and it's some of the he has like some lectures and everything that I've been kind of listening to. That's what I've been using to prepare for and of course the HESI.
Awesome. Good, great. Let me go to you, Brea. How did you, Mustafa talked a little bit about this, test taking is, and it makes you anxious, right? But how did you maybe alleviate some of that test anxiety? What techniques did you use?
So I know that test taking anxiety is like common no matter what profession you are in. I try to take it like one step at a time. I do a lot of meditation, so like meditation before study sessions and like before taking the practice test kind of helped me really well. And then also like when I was taking the practice test before I took the exam, I would start with small increments at a time. So like 10 questions at a time to 15 to 25, and then I'll go up to, larger numbers, and that kind of like builds your stamina in regards to being able to sit in front of a computer and to be able to, take the exam, because you have a lot of people that know the information, but when they take an exam, they kind of like freak out and they don't do as well as they want to. So like taking it one step at a time and just like reading through the questions and remember like what's the priority, what's the question asking you, and just try and like mentally not to, freak out or to be anxious while taking the test.
Oh, that's awesome. I love how you said you break it down, do it in pieces, so you build up your stamina. I like that. Yeah, and I saw you nodding your head. What were some of the relaxation techniques or test taking techniques do you do to kind of alleviate that anxiety?
I remember in the beginning, I had a lot of like self-doubt initially, so I started. I had one professor that would tell me that just to kind of get rid of those negative thoughts by trying to pump myself up by saying, I got this, I know the material, and that kind of helped alleviate some of that anxiety. I also just did some breathing technique as well, because a lot of the times you get those jitters right before exam. If you do a like a breathing technique, it helps kind of calm the nerves and the jitters. And then when it comes to exam, then I start in a calm um, type of feeling, and I perform a lot better that way as opposed to going in with a whole bunch of jitters.
No, that's excellent advice. Like breathing, and we can use that in a lot of different areas too, right? They get us anxious and about situations. Marlene, what motivated you to kind of prep for the test? I mean, obviously, yes, there is the one that you needed this to get into school, but what were some of your other motivations about your preparation for the test?
Let's see. Well, what I did is I looked at things where subjects where I was not where I needed more, what were my weakness. So I started on, parts of like because I know like chemistry was, all those some sciences I did, but I looked at where I needed where I needed the most help with and everything and reviewed that first. And then from there, and of course, kept on taking like just practice, looking at the book, looking at some of the looking at some of the things that I had, some other references and everything. So but yeah, taking it one day at a time, just definitely breathing techniques and everything. And just I use like one of those like the Bath and Body Works, like the aromatherapy, to kind of, but definitely, take it one day at a time and as many practice questions as I can, and until I finally felt confident. And then once the things that I like kind of, was like, okay, I got this and everything, kind of reviewed a little bit, but I definitely focused on the things where I was struggling in to get that out of the way first, because I felt that if I did brushed up on the things that were easy for me, like, and doing questions and everything, I probably would have been burnt and would have not focused on the stuff that I did need help on.
Right.
Knowing from me, like that's how I kind of did it and it actually helped.
Good. Awesome. No, that's a good strategy. Mustafa, what about you? What are some strategies test taking strategies that maybe you use? What did you do a specific module first or something else similar to what Marlene talked about?
Uh, Specifically for the HESI, for me, it's easier to recall information if you've brushed up on it recently, right? So, like for me, my strong suit's always been like science and like biology, but I knew I was strong at it, but at the same time, I wanted to run through that test book to make sure that I saw everything. I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. And then that way, when I get to the test, it's easier to recall instead of me sitting there like, oh, I know this. It's at the tip of my tongue. Um, and then something I'll usually do for my tests is I'll reward myself with something at the end. So I have something fun to look forward to when I'm finished. And
Oh,
that kind of,
that's
for me, it would alleviate a lot of the stress. So for me, I'd go get chicken wings almost every time I take a test. I end up at beat up slamming 20 boneless wings, whether the test went good or not. So that was something that I felt brought me out of like negative thoughts and feelings. But
no, that's great.
in terms of like modules and which ones I do first, I didn't pick and choose. I just went straight down the line because I figured it was gonna get done either way. But I mean, for some people, they might want to get away like the less stressful ones first, like things that they're worried they might not be brushed up on. But that's probably more person to person, I would think.
Right. No, that's awesome. And food is a great motivator for me too.
Yes.
So no, I love it. What about you, Victoria? Do you have any test taking strategies? Did you do a specific module first?
No, I kind of did the same as Mustafa. I didn't know what to expect, so I just touched up on everything and things that like I would get wrong or I was confused on. I went back, reread the material, and then if I still didn't understand it, like I said, I would go to like look up stuff and made sure I understood the concept. Because I knew that when I did go to talk to my counselor, she kind of like let me know where the percentage of the HESI was. So like that you can do really good in math and reading and score high in those concepts. But she kind of broke it down to where I needed to focus on like science and the biology and the chemistry part because it was also a big part. So she said if I like felt confident in some areas, just to refresh on what they were really focusing on as to get a cumulative score to pass. So she kind of broke down the HESI to me, and I just went through categories I knew that I wasn't strong in, and then but I did the same thing. I started with everything and then went back, and I think that like the rest of the team said, like you have try to be confident in yourself. Don't think negatively because you're only doing this to be better. And you're going into such a great career that just be proud that you're sitting there taking that exam to do something great. And when you're in that mindset, I feel like you're nervous, but you know that you're doing it for a good reason and go with your first instinct. Don't second guess yourself because you've heard it somewhere. The answer came somehow. So go with your first instinct.
I love that advice. That's really good. Show of hands, did anybody use the remediation option? Okay. Janet, did you find that it was supportive, helpful for you?
Yes, I definitely found it very, very helpful because it really focused and narrowed it to the topic or contact that I missed. And that me having to repeat it and seeing it over and over again helps me retain the information. So I'm a visual auditory learner, so having to read it, listening to it again, and just having to review the material helps retain a lot of the information.
Awesome, good. Marlene, you're shaking your head. Did you have that same experience?
Absolutely. And it just, even like, right now in our nursing, like seeing it and knowing, the rationale or what made me um pick this answer, but then what I missed, like it gave me like what I missed of, where was my rationale in terms of like, not in a bad way, like what was I thinking, but like what led me to pick the wrong, kind of see what I missed and stuff. So yeah, but definitely like Yanis, the repetition and seeing I'm a visual learner as well. So seeing that really, really helped.
Good, awesome. I'm gonna let everybody kind of answer this question before we head into the Q&A because the Q&A is starting to add up. So we want to make sure we get as many as possible. But what's the one piece, and you all have already shared some, but what's the one piece of helpful information that you feel like would be important to pass on to these applicants that are on this webinar? And I'll start with you, Brea.
So my main thing is always remember the why. Remember why you're applying for the program. It could be this is your passion, or it could be something that's more personal. But if you always remember your why, no matter what sacrifices that you may have or experience while in the program, because you will have to sacrifice your personal time, it would always be rewarding at the end. So that's kind of like my main thing is whenever you're having a difficult time studying, not understanding information, or if you don't pass the test, it's okay. We all have been there from the beginning until now. And if you remember why you're doing it, it won't feel as if you're forced or you're forcing yourself to do something that you don't want to do. So that's what I like to remember. Why am I doing this? Am I doing this for the benefit of myself or for others? Is this my passion? And what do I want to do with it in the future? And then that will always help you push towards your goals and accomplishing passing the program.
Awesome, great advice. Marlene, what about you?
Let's see. I would probably say go in there and give it your best. This doesn't, if you don't pass, it doesn't define you. Like Brea said, we've all been there. We've all, not passed exams. We haven't been successful, but if you pass it, that's awesome. If you don't think that you're a failure. Don't think that, you're not, that maybe nursing's not for me, or I won't be able to get in the program. Do not let those negative thoughts take over. You got this. And, worst comes to worst, you can always, brush up and you can take it, you can take it again. But don't let, those that anxiety and everything, just go in there already feeling confident and doing our best. Yeah, just do your best and don't, whatever the outcome is be proud of yourself. That yes, like Brea said, remember what you're doing this for, and don't let it define you if you get a bad score and everything, but just do your best.
Wonderful. That's right. Victoria?
I would say talk to, like, when you have an advisor when you start, reach out to them when you're sitting there, ask the questions that you need to ask. If they reference any material, look at it. They're telling you to look at it for a reason. You put what you put in is what you get back out. So if you know that you refreshed the material, you did everything that you can do, that's what you have to be proud of. You have to be proud that I did this. And if you did miss something, like they have the remediation thing you can look over, refresh on because they'll tell you what you missed. But if you go in there confident, knowing that you looked over stuff, you should do great. And I mean, again, know, like how Brea said, know why you're there, because it wasn't just you woke up one day and said, I'm going to be a nurse. It was something we all thought about for a while. And it's a commitment with, I mean, you do sacrifice, but it's such a great, rewarding job.
Definitely. Mustafa?
So at this point in school, usually you kind of find your groove and what works for you in terms of taking tests. I would kind of suggest to stick towards that. And while it may be different, and it may be more stressful than other tests you take, it's still worth following that. And I guarantee this test is not as scary as it seems. And a lot of what is going to be on that is stuff you already know. So as long as you brush up, I do think you'll do just fine. And then I don't know if all campuses are doing it, but when I was in school, they offered a retake no matter what. And no matter what score you get, just retake it. Because the worst thing that could happen is you do worse and they keep your better score.
Last but not least, Janet?
Let's see. I will definitely suggest having a strong study group. A lot of the times when you have a good group to study with, wherever your weaknesses are, you have somebody that is their strength, and so you are able to provide feedback and a better explanation or understanding of the content that you keep constantly missing, and vice versa. And it's a good way to be able to retain and learn information. The teach back method is I swear by it a lot because it helps a lot with having to process information, have a good way of understanding it in a different perspective, because everybody learns things differently. But if you are able to explain it in one way that one wasn't able to view it that way, it helps a lot. So study groups, I'd highly recommend. Also in clinicals, I definitely would suggest stepping out of your comfort zone. Like, don't shy away from opportunities. Don't be afraid to ask questions. No question is a dumb question. Ask questions during clinicals because afterwards you're not going to be able to ask all those questions that you would like to ask. You wish you would have been able to. Don't be afraid to speak to people. A big part of nursing is being able to relate and provide therapeutic communication and be able to talk to your patient in a different level that most providers can't. And then also just remember that we are a team. You know, we're not here to bash one another. You know, don't say that doctors don't know what they're doing. It's in a going in a learning phase, you know, where everything is brand new and we don't know everything. And with time, we start to accumulate that knowledge. So never berate one another, just work as a team. Everybody's there for the same goal, and that is to provide patient care.
Awesome. Great advice, everyone. Let's try in the time we have left to get to some of these questions from the audience. I may just ask one of you to respond just in the interest of time, but if you have a burning feeling like I'd like to address that really happened to me, feel free to jump in. So someone asked, what if you don't have a background in anatomy and biology, etc.? How do you feel about the test taking? Marlene, what about that? Did you experience that, or do you know someone who experienced that?
I've never experienced it, or or didn't know anyone. But I mean, anatomy and physiology, I feel like that's like that's fundamental. But I don't know. That one is a tough question. It's like, because I mean, it's kind of, important to get that, especially with, well, biology, I mean, those who are vital subjects, but oh my gosh, yeah, that is a hard question. Anybody want to help out with that?
Yeah, go ahead, Janet, jump in.
I could definitely relate to that question. I'm a person, English is my second language. So going into anatomy, physiology, and chemistry, I found that they use a lot of higher level vocabulary. So it is definitely helpful if you have a medical terminology class taken prior to it, so you have an understanding of like all the medical terms, how to break down the medical terms, because they kind of go over that in anatomy and physiology, just to know the names of the body systems and how they, characterizes it. But a lot of the times I also had like a dictionary on the side opened up just to kind of reference back to it and help retain a lot of the information. So don't be afraid. Everything, it's going to be new. Starting with anatomy and physiology, all that material is going to be brand new. And then once you get into your nursing program, everything's going to be brand new. That's the way the styles of the questions are going to be worded is going to be completely different from anatomy and physiology. I actually would prefer that over the nursing questions. But yes, brush up on medical terminology.
Good to know. No, good advice. Another question is the HESI given with specific subjects, or are all the subjects utilized for every person that takes it? Brea, what about that?
So I took HESI in 2014, so I'm trying to remember. It's been a I know that math was on there. I think anatomy. I don't know what else was on there. It was a
That's
long
okay.
time.
Victoria or Marlene, I know you guys are current students. What was your experience? Did you have specific subjects or all the subjects?
I think there was specific, and I do remember the academic advisor, or the advisor that helped me, what she wanted me to brush up on. So, and I felt that there was a bit of everything. And of course, I went through that list and everything, and from there, you know, seeing what were my weak spots. But that I believed, so I believe that it was a bit of everything. It was like a whole, you know, and but you know, but like you know, it's all like, you know, if it comes to you, like it came to me, some of this, it's like, oh my gosh, I know, you know. So, but I think it's not. I don't think it's like you know, individualized. I think it's like a whole lot of, it's a whole lot of everything, and definitely, you know, using the book um and you know, having the advisor tell you like what to brush up on was a big help.
Good.
I agree.
So,
There was
oh,
everything.
okay.
There was everything on there, and the HESI book kind of gave you a breakdown of what they would focus on. So if you didn't know a terminology, you can look up, and there is like quick videos on YouTube of like the body, and it like runs through it in like 20 minutes. I know it's not like it's not a long time, but the way they break it down is that if you see the word, then you know kind of where the body system is addressing. But it was a breakdown of everything: math, biology, chemistry. And I don't feel like it was individualized because, like Mufasa said, like they give you an option to take it again. So when I took it again, it was like this, it kind of went over the same thing
Okay.
of each subject.
Okay. Sounds like the book and YouTube are definitely your friends. How soon do you have to have the HESI done before you can enroll in classes? Mustafa, do you remember what that time frame was?
Ooh, I think it might depend on when you're applying.
Okay.
I think that's how it was. But
Gotcha.
for me, I think I took it like 1 to 2 months before I had begun classes.
Okay.
It was immediately after like the application process. Like as soon as I was there to like tour the school and I had applied, he's like, "All right, well, are you able to come in this day for taking the HESI?" I was like, "Yeah." It was very quick.
Okay. Good. Anybody else? I see a lot of nodding heads. Similar experience. Yep. Brea.
Yeah, my
Okay.
experience the same, well, about the same. So I applied, took the HESI, and then I was actually at a traditional school. I planned on taking microbiology over the summer and then started in September. So I think I got accepted in like April, but everything was just like, once you apply, you take the HESI. Once you're complete, then the next session that's coming up, I think that's when they're able to register you for classes.
Awesome. And Mustafa, you mentioned you did it, you came in. Did anybody else? I know there's also a remote option. Did anybody do it remotely? No, you all came in. Okay. There is a remote option. I know someone asked about that. But when you apply, your advisor can give you information about that. I'll take just a couple more questions because we're a little bit over time. What about if you don't pass? A couple people said, you know, if you don't pass the first time, can I take it again? And how many times? Go ahead, Janet. I see your hand up. Go ahead. How many times, more times can I take it?
Absolutely. You are able to retake that HESI exam depending on the school. Like they'll let you know how many times you have for you to be able to retake it.
Okay.
Don't be afraid if you fail the first exam. You are able to review what you on what you failed. A lot of it can be math because one of the topics for the HESI involves math. For some people, it may be English and writing composition as well. Aside from just the science courses. Um, so don't get discouraged if you didn't pass the first time. It's a good gauge to see what you're going to expect on the HESI exam and where your weaknesses are and how you can improve on it. So it's all like a trial and error.
Good to know. We'll take two more questions. One is, how many months in advance did you begin reviewing the material? Let's see, Marlene, how many months in advance did you begin reviewing?
I actually, when they told me that I would be taking the HESI, I started actually, it was like a month and a half. I bought the book and then I, did all like resources, like, yep, I did YouTube and, just, and I think I even, I looked at like all my chemistry notes, even like, that I took while I did my prerequisites like in college. So and from there it was just a lot of studying questions. And I think I even bought another book. Oh my goodness, I can't remember which one, to help you like on test taking strategies. It was actually a test taking strategy for the HESI. So in between those two books and just doing practice questions leading up to the actual test. So it was like about a month and a half for me. And I was doing like questions every day. It started off like with like 10 and then leading up to like more questions until finally it was like, I think I found like a practice and just did as many questions as I possibly could.
Awesome. And then lastly, someone asked about timing. How soon did you find out? I'm sure you were on pins and needles waiting to find out your results. So how soon did you find out, Victoria, that you...
I believe they wait 2 days before they contact you because you don't get your results right away. Your advisor will kind of tell you when she'll reach out to you. I think it's either a day or 2 days, and then you can decide if to come in to look over the material that you missed. If you want to improve your score, because they always give you that option if you want to improve.
Wonderful. Well, this has been super helpful. I hope it's been helpful for our audience. We just like to thank all of you for attending our Commit to Care webinar series. We want to thank our students and our alumni for providing their perspective. I know I've learned a lot today, so hopefully the audience has learned a lot as well. And just for any prospective students or applicants, if you are looking to apply to one of our programs, go to www.chamberlain.edu and select the campus or the program of your choice. As you've heard today, there are a lot of people and resources to kind of help guide you through that process. So you'll get an admissions advisor, you'll get an advisor when you start to kind of help you through the HESI exam and so much more. So we do definitely have resources available to help you through this process. So even if you didn't get all your questions answered today, Chamberlain has a plethora of resources that can help guide you through this process. That's definitely something that we're known for. So we thank you again for coming, and we thank you and wish you all the success as you look forward to your career in being an extraordinary healthcare professional. Thank you, everyone, and have a great afternoon. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.